We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Free Association Radio. This is Robert Phoenix broadcasting to you live from the heart of Texas, which in some ways would make it kind of like the heart of America, really. I mean, if you think about it, the heart of America used to be Chicago, but Chicago just doesn't stand up to the litmus anymore, does it, really? A long time ago, I used to hang out I visited a community called Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S, the Sirius community, and that was in, and I believe still is, in Massachusetts, in just outside of, it's in a little town called Shutesbury, Massachusetts. And it's a community that was started and run by Gordon McLaughlin and Gordon Davidson. And they both lived at Findhorn and decided to start Findhorn America. And when I went there, it was kind of an interesting place, interesting time. It was the early 80s. Ramtha was, quite big at that point in time. People that were living on or near the community were very interested in a substance called Atom, A-D-A-M, Atom. That's what they called it. This was 1984, and that was apparently the early name for ecstasy back in the 1980s. So it had kind of an Adamic chemistry to their community, not officially because they don't condone drugs, but it was part of the satellite experience. Anyway, Gordon had spent some time working for the Lucis Trust in New York. Some of you know the Lucis Trust as being the publisher of Alice Bailey's works. And Gordon was very informed about esotericism. And he told me one day that there were certain cities in the United States that represented the certain chakras, particular chakras. And he said that Chicago was the heart chakra of the United States. That may be the case, but I would say right now that Texas is the heart of the United States. And Austin might be the heart of Texas. In many different ways, Austin has a very strong left side. It has a very strong right side. So it would be like the right ventricle and the left ventricle of the heart. So I'm broadcasting to you live from the heart of America. And today we're going to be talking about, and by the way, I am in a different browser today, and I am in a different position. So I've got the chat room live in my window, And I want everybody to kind of look at that or listen to what I'm sharing with you and just give me some feedback to see if I'm cutting out, which has been kind of problematic with Blog Talk Radio. And I'm looking, I love having the flash chat open, but one of the challenges is I get a little distracted. No, Mount Shasta, it would be the crown chakra of the United States. The crown chakra of the United States. If there is a crown chakra. Gordon never told me that. All right, so we're going to get into some interesting material today. We're going to talk about all this Scorpio that's happening. A lot of Scorpio out there. And we're going to talk about what it means on a collective level. And I'm going to get into two separate pieces here that are endemic of the energy of Scorpio now permeating everything. Okay, everything. Sun in Scorpio, Mercury in Scorpio, retrograde Saturn in Scorpio, the true node is in Scorpio. Venus has moved on, and Mars is in Virgo. It's not going to hit Scorpio for a while. So those are going to be the four main players. And they're significant players. They're pretty significant. So we're going to get into what that means. You know, I personally, I think it's about the exposition of secrets, because Scorpio is a very secretive sign. If you've ever spent any time with any Scorpios or Scorpio on the ascendant, you can kind of get a sense as to what that is like. Once they let you in deeply, and you are there for life, pretty much. And if they don't, then it can be kind of a tricky space to navigate through. So we're dealing with secrets, we're dealing with shadow, we're dealing with the underworld. The underworld. Now, what's interesting is every now and then we get news flashes, things that pop up, which are endemic or symbolic of the astrological matrix. Like, for instance, they had a big bust in Los Angeles a couple days ago at a warehouse, and what did they bust? They busted these people that were selling, counterfeit goods, like fake purses, fake watches. They're all, very, really good-looking replicas of all these high-end, pieces of merchandise and fashion. Not really. I mean, that's kind of an underworld activity, right? Selling stuff that looks like something but really isn't. But who is that? Who's that hitting? It's hitting those companies who make all that really expensive stuff that we really mostly don't need anyway, right? So you have these guys coming in and doing these knockoffs from China or Taiwan or wherever they're coming from, and they're getting hammered. So it looks good. It looks good on the news. Oh, look at what we've done to prevent crime. Look at what we've done to expose these threats to our economy. All that really is protecting the commercial class. That's all it really is. But still, it's kind of a scorpionic kind of moment in time where something is revealed from the underworld. So we're just in this. We're just in Mercury retrograde. And I believe it's right around Halloween. Very interesting time, Halloween. Not far off, where Saturn and Mercury converge, where they are conjunct. I think it's like the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. And that, circle that day on your calendar, between the 28th and the 31st, we should have a lot of really interesting news popping up. And some of which, again, would be quite revelatory and illustrating that all is not what it seems. I mean, we all know we're being lied to. That's the greatest hypocrisy. That's what drives people nuts. We're being lied to constantly. And even if you don't believe we're being lied to, we are. It's still going to affect your life. You may put blinders on. You may take some kind of medication to go to sleep at night. You may take some kind of medication to get it up at night. You may take some kind of medication to keep your heart rate down. But I'm telling you, all you're doing is covering up the fact that we're all being lied to. That's the way it is. So one of the things that's come up here very early on is the malfunction of Obamacare. Hey, it's Mercury retrograde. What do you know? Obamacare has been anything but manageable online. I'll read you something pretty soon here from Catherine Sebelius, which is really interesting in some ways. You'll get a kick out of this. But Alex Jones and some other people got a hold of a spreadsheet, which is very difficult to find now on Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act site, the .gov site. And it lists the premium. This is what you're going to have to pay every month. Every month, this is what you're going to have to pay. Let me just read some of this. This is for Travis County. This is where I live. Now, Obamacare has bronze, silver, gold. They've got this thing mapped out to metals, which I think is interesting. The metals are a Taurus symbol of Taurus. So they're invoking Taurus here with the metal level, right? They didn't go to, some other kind of metaphor. They went with metals. But Obamacare itself is a very Scorpionic kind of thing. It's Scorpio and it's also Capricorn because the government's running it. And Scorpio in the sense that it's taking your money, it's taking your resources. It is managing and moving things around. It is the collection of taxation, as we shall see. Oh, my cat has decided to become part of the show today. So what happens when you move to a different part of the worldwide headquarters of Free Association Radio. So here, let me just run down some prices here for you. Again, this is where I am living. If you're younger, you have a better chance of getting a better rate. That actually goes back to that document I read a couple of weeks ago that had, it was a paper done by Ezekiel Manuel and a couple of his other buddies. And this was on the ethics of healthcare, who should get healthcare and why, basically. So if you're younger, you get a better deal. If you're older, you get a far worse deal. So let's go through this. In Travis County, where I live, if you are 27 years old and you want to sign up through Blue Choice Gold PPO, your monthly premium is going to be $314. Now, keep in mind that many people who are at the age of 27 have taken out enormous college loans to find themselves almost utterly unemployable in the workplace for degrees that they have borrowed up to $150,000 to attain. And now they've got to pay $314 extra a month to get health care. If you're 50 plus, you're going to have to pay $535 for that same premium. $535. $535. If you are 50 and older right now in the chat room or listening to this either live or through the podcast, raise your hand if you have an extra $535 that you can spend on a monthly basis. Raise your hand. Now, if you have an employer, right? If you have an employer, let's say you have, let's just say, for instance, you have a regular job and you get some form of medical from them right now. I'm guessing that you're not paying $535 or your employer is not paying $535. What's your employer going to do? Your employer is going to say, well, maybe you should get the bronze. Get the bronze. Let's get you into bronze. Because we can afford bronze. And who the hell knows what bronze healthcare is going to be? Bronze healthcare, it could be, checking your pulse and holding a mirror up to your breath to see if you're still breathing. And then telling you about the modern miracle drug known as aspirin. That's probably bronze healthcare. And then they may say, they may have a place in their heart, and you'll get silver healthcare. Silver healthcare will be somewhere between the two. and maybe with Silver Healthcare, they'll actually pick up the phone when you call them. Maybe that's what you'll get to talk to a live human with Silver Healthcare. That'll be the benefit. Let's go to another one here. This is the Blue Cross Blue Shield Premier. This is gold, right? The Premier, if you're 27 years old, that's going to be $327, and 50 and over, it's going to be $557. $557. Think about that. If I had $557 set aside for healthcare each month, you know what I would do? I'll tell you what I would do. I would go to see a chiropractor every month. I'd go to see an acupuncturist every month. You could afford that on $557. You could afford some of the best supplements on the planet for $557 a month and never run out. That's what you could afford. And you'd still have money left over. You could see an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, a nutritionist, and get great supplements, and you'd still have money left over for that amount. If you can afford to pay $557 a month, why would you even choose this? This is a travesty. Absolute travesty. Let's just do one more here. Let's go down. Let's do something cheap. Let's go to the Humana Connect Gold. These are all these carriers now that are competing for your business. The Humana Connect Gold, $192.59 if you're 27, and $328 if you're 50 and over. Now, guess what happens? Let's just say you say, the hell with it. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to opt in. My friends, those fees become a tax. It's a tax. So you're either going to pay the damn thing and get their rotten health care, or you're going to pay the tax. This is a form of usury. Sorry, it's the way it is. And we have nobody else to thank but our esteemed public officials who didn't even read the damn thing. And this is why people are in an uproar about Obamacare. This is a Mercury retrograde moment in time, a Saturn in Scorpio moment in time. And just wait between the 28th and the 31st. When those two come together, watch what happens. Just watch what happens. Let the games begin, because people are not happy. What are they going to do? I don't know. The American people, I don't think the American people have lost their spirit completely. They can still get in their trucks and drive to Washington. That's not a bad thing. But this is not good. This is really, think about all the extra money that the government is going to be collecting in partnership with these insurance companies. What a scam. What an absolute scam. And, oh, by the way, we're still going to be sicker thanks to GMOs, thanks to the chemtrails and all the other crap in the sky. We're not going to be any better off because of our environmental or connection to our environment and the environmental illness that is really the cause of a lot of our suffering. So then what happens? We get sick and then we go back into the machine. We get fixed and we come out and we're sick again. I'm telling you, with all this Scorpio, there's going to be some very interesting things that are going to come out on the collective level. Now, let me read to you. Let me just see if I can find this, because this is actually worth listening to. This is Catherine Sebelius. Catherine Sebelius was the queen of vaccinations. Remember her? She was the one that was all hot and bothered, and when it came to the swine flu vaccine. Remember that? She was out there front and center. Here's what she says. This is from CSN News. In an interview with CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta Tuesday night, Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius said she won't be enrolling in the problem-plagued healthcare insurance that she was charged to implement. I have created an account on the site. I have not tried signing up because I have insurance. Well, guess what? A lot of other people do too. But your insurance is different, and we're paying for your insurance. Now, a lot of people, some people like Rand Paul, other people don't. I'm on the fence with Rand Paul. I'm not sure I entirely trust him. I'm not sure I entirely trust his father either. Sometimes some interesting things come out of their mouths, but, ever since Ron ditched the rest of us way back in 2008 in New Hampshire when he got screwed, and he had all that money that we gave him, and he could have done a voter recount and a recall of those votes, but he chose not to do it. He chose to move on. At that point, in my estimation, Ron Paul let almost everybody that supported him down, and he misused the funds that were allocated to him. That's in my estimation. Because even if Ron couldn't have won, he would have been able to shine a light on a system that is corrupt and broken. But anyway, I digress a little bit. Rand wants to have a constitutional amendment which will make Catherine Sebelius and everybody in Congress, everybody in the Senate, and the president himself sign up for Obamacare. Not just Obamacare, but making sure that everything we go through, they have to go through as well. Well, good luck on that, Rand. I don't think it's going to happen. Number one, your friends and colleagues in the Congress and Senate don't want to play by those rules. And number two, who's going to do the oversight if they don't? He says that for years they didn't have to pay Social Security, and they didn't, but eventually there were enough people that complained, and they did. Well, guess what? Those were different times. Those were times where the public still held their officials to be accountable, and officials and people in Washington still kind of feared the public a little bit. They don't anymore. They have no fear of us. None. They do whatever they want, and that's the truth. Unfortunately, I'm sad to kind of break the news to you. That's the truth. So she's admitting here under Obamacare or under this Mercury retrograde Scorpio, Saturn Scorpio, she's not going to sign up. What I think is really interesting is she says this. This is really fascinating. Asked if she found it challenging to create her healthcare.gov account, Sebelius admitted that she did. Well, I think there certainly are some challenges. It could be smoother. It could be easier to access. And that's really what we're working on. Sebelius said, "I'm going to be more frustrated than I am and the president that this isn't smooth." She also said President Obama first became aware of the problems fairly early on in the first few days of the October 1 online rollout. You've got to be kidding me, right? I mean, I've worked in the tech sector. I have worked on the rollout of websites. And the first time he knew anything was October 1st, that this was not going to go smoothly. This is not how the real world works, boys and girls. In the real world, they would have figured this out, and they probably did, about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and they would have let everybody know, and maybe he did know, but this is the official line, party line we're being given is October 1st. That is ridiculous. If that's the official line, then already government as a business is an utter failure, an absolute utter failure. And here's what Sebelius says. Gupta asked, not before October 1st? No, sir, Sebelius said. She said in an ideal situation, her department would have had more time to get the job done and would have used every minute of it, including a lot more money along the way. Money which is fake anyway, but let's just pretend that it's real. She used, that's a lot more money. And if we had an ideal situation, it could have built the product in, a 5-year period of time. We probably would have taken 5 years, but we didn't have 5 years. And certainly Americans who rely on health coverage didn't have 5 years for us to wait. We wanted to make sure we made good on this final implementation of the law. And again, people can sign up. The call center is open for business. Hey, guess what? If you sign up for Obamacare, you get free cell phones. You know that? It's not a real cell phone. It's not a smartphone. It's one of the old school cell phones, but it'll let you call up and sign right up, right over the phone with that call center in India, no doubt. I'll tell you right now, I could have hired a team of programmers and coders, half of which would have come from Asia, most likely, and we probably could have done this site in about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Or I could have hired somebody to oversee that project. Typical government trying to be a business and showing up and showing how absolutely inept they are. Okay, let's get into another story here. This is one that's a little more serious. This is another Mercury retrograde story. By the way, I'm going to do some readings. Give me an hour here, okay? Not an hour. I'll have an hour's worth of readings. Just give me about 5 or 10 minutes. There's another thing I want to go over. It's very important. This has been breaking news over the past few days. This gets into Pluto and Capricorn squaring off against Uranus and Aries. And this is kind of an undercurrent theme, which is a Pluto, which is a Mercury, it's Mercury and Scorpio retrograde moment and event. Also Saturn and Scorpio. This is very important. This is 9 high-ranking military flag and general officers fired by Obama. First time in history, first time in U.S. history, you had 9 guys just completely cleaned out by the administration. They are Major General Michael Carey, commander of 20th Air Force. He was in charge of 9,600 people and 450 ICBMs at 3 operational wings and served in operations Iraqi Freedom and Freedom. It lists 13 major awards he's received. That's on the Air Force website. Vice Admiral Tim Giardina, Deputy Commander of the United States Strategic Command. These are high-level people. This guy is the Deputy Commander of the U.S. Strategic Command. His most recent command assignment was as Commander of Submarine Group Trident, Submarine Group 9, and Submarine Group 10, where he was responsible for all 18 U.S. Trident submarines. That's a big level of responsibility. Giardina has been awarded the Navy Distinguished Service Medal, Legion of Merit, 6 awards, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, 2 awards, Joint Service Commendation Medal, 2 awards, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, 4 awards, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, 3 awards, and various campaign and unit awards. There's another one. Lieutenant General David Holmes Huntoon, Jr., American military officer who served as the 58th Superintendent of the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. Huntoon graduated from the Academy in 1973 and has served in a senior planning and military education commands throughout his lengthy career. Major General C.M.M. Gurganis. He commanded the Regional Command Southwest and 1st Marine Expeditionary Force Forward in Afghanistan. These are not inconsequential, lower-ranked people. Major General Greg A. Sturdivant, Director of Strategic Planning for U.S. Pacific Command, Commander of the Aviation Wing at Camp Bastion, Afghanistan. Again, numerous awards. Brigadier General Brian Roberts. He took command of Fort Jackson in 2011, and this guy was a fast-track general on his way to his 2nd star, kicked out. Major General Ralph Baker, he's gone. Rear Admiral Charles Gowett, he's gone. Carter Ham, he's gone. Some of these guys got booted already. And so the story here goes like this. The story is that it's interesting. We're having my cats are very alert now. The story goes is that there was an ICBM that went missing. And it went missing in El Paso, apparently, and it showed up. There was a truck that showed up in South Carolina without any bill of lading.
New message from 3104478. New message
Sorry
from
about that.
65049207723.
Sorry about that. Reality intruded on me there. So anyway, this truck shows up in South Carolina without any bill of lading, without anything, nothing. But it's got these ICBMs on it. Now, the buzz is that there was supposed to be a false flag in South Carolina. There was supposed to be a nuke taking out 1 million people in South Carolina. This was going to happen in October, not long ago. I think about on the 18th, right around the 18th. It was going to be a major event, and it didn't happen. Again, the alternative buzz is that Obama and his family were in their underground bunker when this was supposed to go off. And apparently these guys, some of these guys that I mentioned to you, they got in the way. They shut this thing down. And as a result, we had major firings, people getting removed from their positions at a high level and being replaced with other people. This is dangerous. This is an absolutely dangerous predicament that the administration is engaged in. I'll tell you why it's dangerous. Because number one, people are going to find out about this, and they're going to ask the question why this is happening. Number two, the administration is getting rid of really high-ranking military men who have lots of connections, who have lots of loyalty. And you've got basically a rogue branch now of some of the best military strategists that are out there. And they are free agents. They can be hired by anyone. Anyone. Now, if they have love of country, they're not going to farm themselves out to some other country that wants to, squeeze their brains and do a deep R&D on them and maybe employ them. Maybe they don't do that, but I'll tell you what, though, if there were ever a conflict in this country, it would be men like this who would know where everything is. And I mean everything. And they could organize and strategize in a way that would be a potential threat to any kind of force, whether it's inside or outside this country. When we saw this in the Carter administration, when Jimmy Carter axed all these CIA guys when he came in, well, that came back to haunt him. And it came back to haunt him in a big way when we talked about Iran-Contra and the failed helicopter rescue in Iran. And those guys, those ex-CIA guys, made Jimmy Carter's life hell throughout his single term. Something like this could actually take place under the watch of Barack Obama. They're playing with fire. And if you look at it astrologically, we have this Pluto in Capricorn squaring off against Uranus and Aries. And that square comes up really, really big right around the time of the solar eclipse on the 3rd of November. This is when it gets at almost the exact angle, the exact degree in the square between the two. It's a throwdown, Uranus and Aries. Aries is the military, people. It's the military. And Capricorn is the government. And Uranus is sudden, quick. And you hear Pluto squaring off against the military, basically cutting people, cutting high-level people, just like that. That is a Pluto square Uranus moment in time. And we aren't even at the apex of that square. The apex of the square is going to be right around Halloween between the 31st and the 3rd of November. And again, when we see this, the effects or the ramifications of these squares aren't like happen in a few days. They go away after, either Pluto, I think it'd be at this point in time, Pluto moving forward and leaving Uranus behind. It won't be like that. The energy and the reverberations of these things last. They impact people's lives. There's a domino effect as a result of this. It's very interesting stuff, high level intrigue. So there is conflict and a war going on right now as we speak inside probably inside the Pentagon and inside the Oval Office itself. So this would be clandestine. So all be clandestine affairs and all within the rubric of Scorpio. Mercury, Scorpio retrograde, Saturn, Scorpio, true node in Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio. Pay attention to this. More information is going to come out about what's happened. Now, it may not come out on a mainstream level about the nukes. That would be the day. But there will be a deeper investigation around what happened with these these high-ranking military officials. And the reason why they're gone is because they did not cooperate, and they were replaced by people that theoretically will. All right, So why don't we do this? Why don't we shift the topic of conversation and let's get into some readings, and let's talk about you. We only have an hour. Let's jump here. Let's go to the 707. This might be our friend Jose calling us from San Rafael area. Let's see who this is. Hello there.
Yep. Hey, what's going on, Robert?
Hey, is this Jose?
Yes, sir, it is. You're absolutely correct.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in here, sir. How are you?
You know, Jose, I'm doing pretty darn good today.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a weight lifted off me yesterday. So, and hopefully I'll have more weight lifted off me over the course of the next few weeks. That's a whole other story. So what's going on in your life? What do you want to talk about?
That's always a beautiful thing, having a weight lifted off of you.
Absolutely. Yep.
I've just had one placed on me, and I'm wondering if it has something to do with this Mercury retrograde thing. I'd say about 3 weeks ago, I took a polygraph for a law enforcement department, and of course everything passed, went well. Everything was looking good. Week after that, I go in to get an MRI because I messed up my back at work, and then they find out that I have a tumor. And I'm like, wow! And it's pretty mind-blowing to me because, excuse me, I'm, I know it sounds like a blanket statement, but I'm the healthiest guy I know, and literally I am. I mean, I have a really strict regimen of how I eat, and I don't eat any red meat, and I try and eat as organic as possible, and I really watch what I eat, and it's pretty amazing that I have this tumor. So I'm just wondering, did I find out about it now because of what's going on, or, I don't know.
Yeah, say so. I mean, it's kind of a Mercury retrograde moment, right? When we look at things like X-rays, right? X-rays. What's interesting is that X-rays were developed when Uranus was in Aries, and that was back in between 1926 and 1934. So, we're kind of revisiting the whole notion and concept of the X-ray or the MRI, which is the cousin of the X-ray. But it definitely is a Mercury retrograde moment. Believe it or not, there are people, and I'm pretty convinced of this, I'm sure there are people that live, and I'm not saying that you should do this, by the way, but I'm pretty convinced that there are people that will live the entirety of their lives, and they may actually have a very small tumor in them, which is completely benign and doesn't get any bigger, and they may not even know it. And when I say small, it could be, a couple centimeters, or you know what I mean? I mean, I don't think tumors are as uncommon as we'd like to think they are. I mean, maybe even something like a skin tag might be kind of a derivation of a tumor, and a lot of people have skin tags.
Right.
But is it on your spine? Where is the tumor?
It's actually, they say it's near my my left psoas muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a muscle that's like low back above the gluteus maximus.
Right.
Kind of in that zone there. Yeah, it's just an odd place. It's like, okay. And it said it's like the size of a fist. I was like, oh, all right. So I've been doing that whole regimen, doing a lot of research on it, on how to get rid of it yourself, and I've been doing blackstrap molasses, baking soda, keeping everything alkaline right now, and just trying to hopefully get rid of it myself.
Well, that's an interesting path to take, and some people have been quite successful with that. Other people have been less successful. One of the things that you may want to look into is there was this guy by the name of Harry Hoxsey, Haoxsey. You can find his video on YouTube. It's about his life story. And Hoxsey had a very interesting topical cream that he would use. It was his own kind of, secret remedy. You can find the Hoxsey cream out there. People still sell it. People still make it. And you can use something along the lines of the Hoxsey topical cream. One of the more interesting things that we have at our disposal is something called DMSO. And DMSO is it's like a solvent. And one of the things that people use DMSO for is things like arthritis and achy muscles, but it's also a carrier. DMSO is a carrier, and there are people that will use DMSO in conjunction with stabilized liquid oxygen. And what that means is that you can put on the DMSO, and then you can spray on the stabilized liquid oxygen, and that oxygen gets carried from the DMSO at a subcutaneous level. So you may want to play with that a little bit. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving you some things that I know about.
I appreciate it.
And that might be a really interesting thing for you, because cancer is a virus. It's what it is. It's a virus.
Yeah, I believe that.
And viruses tend to be anaerobic. So if you can shoot some oxygen into that area, you might be able to affect some change a little bit. Another thing was suggested by someone in the chat room. It was the Casey castor oil pack. You can look that up, Edgar Casey, CAYCE castor oil pack, and that might be something that would be worthwhile for you. So now you've got the Hoxie, the Hoxie solution,
DMSO, and the castor oil, Edgar Casey castor oil pack,
and the castor oil pack. By the way, I would, anybody who does not know Gloria Savage, who's been a guest on the show and is in the chat room right now, you should check out her site, Ancient Aroma. I believe it's Ancient Aroma, and she is a tremendous procurer of essential oils. And you could actually contact her personally, and she might be able to suggest some essential oils and some other things. It's arcancient.com. Arcancient.com. And anybody listening to this podcast, you need to find out about Gloria and what she does with the oils. She's one, and she has very personal service. She's very loving, very giving, very very caring. So check her out. She may have some tips for you, and certainly she's got some of the best handcrafted essential oils. Let's just look at your chart real quickly, Jose. Let's see what we can...
Yes, because, one thing I found, that anything that's good for you when you're trying to cure yourself, it costs money. It's not cheap,
Yeah. Well, luckily, baking soda does not cost that much.
No, luckily, and blackstrap molasses is very cheap as well. But everything else costs money, so let's look at my chart and see what's going on with the money situation.
The money situation. Hey, you can sign up for Obamacare. That's affordable. They'll help you.
Absolutely. Heck, I wish I had that extra $500 a month. I'd see an acupuncturist and a chiropractor every week if I could too.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into your chart here. Let's do quick calculation. Let's go to right there and right there, and let's go to here, and we won't even type the name in. We're just going to type your data in. Okay, give me your birthday.
July 5th, 1975.
July 5th, 1975. July 5th, 1975. Well, it was great that you got that physical so you could find this out. What time were you born?
12:45 a.m.
Okay. And where was that?
That was Victoria, Texas, in Victoria County.
Victoria, Texas. Okay. Victoria, Texas. Let's see. There it is. All right. Bada bing. Here we go. Okay, so you have Saturn in your 8th house now. So that's what we're talking about here. Again, X-rays, because X-rays are based on radiation. Radiation is based on uranium, plutonium. Plutonium, of course, named after the planet Pluto. Pluto and plutonium were all discovered right around the same time by the Curies. So here we have the representation of X-rays and the association with the sign of Scorpio. Saturn is now in your 8th house. So it's about resources, right? It's about resources. It's about regeneration. So somehow, on a metaphysical level, the tumor is also related to resources. It's right down there by your gluteus, which means it's really at your root chakra, right? We might be able to actually think about this tumor as a block or some kind of abscess as it relates to you're feeling safe, you're feeling secure, you're being able to feel like you quote unquote have enough in the world. So here's what I'm positing around the money piece. Look, you've got the moon in Taurus in the second house. That's a pretty decent placement for money and for material goods in general. You're going to have that Saturn moon opposition early next year. So you're going to have that Saturn moon opposition, and there could be, in some ways, kind of I wouldn't call it a threat, but it will bring up some fear for you. It will bring up some fear around the moon, safety, security, all that stuff. It's a test, though. It's a test to see kind of what you're made of and how you can transform your values and character at a very, very deep level. So part of this whole money thing is related to the tumor, and as it connects to the first chakra and is the kind of the knot between the first and the second chakra. So part of what you're going to be going through around money and fear of money or not having enough money is dealing with it directly with the tumor and finding ways in which it either fits in your budget or you're able to affirm your ability to solve this. Now, I am not advocating that you do this on your own. I'm not a medical doctor. Let's just have the disclaimer out there. I just told you some stuff that that have helped people. But this is part of your test. Now, you're going to have a Saturn trine, which is terrific. Saturn right now is transiting. Saturn has just moved past your sun, so you've moved out of the Saturn trine to your sun. But you're going to have a Saturn trine. Your natal Saturn is at 21 Cancer. So again, while Saturn is opposing your moon, it's trining your natal Saturn down in the fourth house. So the fourth house obviously is home, it's mother, it's tradition. So you want to look in terms of dealing with this. You want to look back in time. You might even have some examples in your family history where people have had cancer that you may learn something from, or maybe it's in your wife's family history, something along those lines. But there's a kind of a reaffirmation of you have everything that you need. That's what the Saturn trine is about. The opposition of the moon threatens your safety on an emotional level, but at a deeper level, Saturn is trining Saturn. So you will find out that you will have everything that you need. On Monday, this is a tricky subject because a lot of people, think faith is just fumes. But I talked about faith on Monday, and this is a faith kind of moment for you. And, understanding at a very deep level, get and receive all the nurturing, all the love, all the support, which is more value than you can place on money. We have at times a really skewed vision, and I get hung up on this and caught in this knot myself. I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough money to do that. But what we do have is resources that are irreplaceable. We have family, we have friends, we have extended family, we have community, we have network. Hopefully we do. If not, I would say to people, work on it, build it, because we need it. That's the message right now. We need each other now more than ever because the safety net, the public safety net, the social safety net is not a safety net anymore. It's a snare. It's a cage. So your is to redefine what money is and redefine the value, the support, and the care, and all the things that are in your life. If you can reorient yourself to those things and honor those things, then you will pass through the gateway of fear, which is the Saturn opposition to the moon. And your big moment, Jose, is when Saturn conjuncts your true node. And your true node is in Sagittarius. It's at 0 degrees. This law enforcement thing, by the way, is a very Sagittarian thing. And when Saturn conjuncts your true node, and that will be at the beginning of 2015, that marks a whole new period in your life. And it marks a whole new period of you understanding what freedom is about. And you're being able to use your energy and your life force in a really authentic way. There's kind of a whole new spiritual playbook or instruction manual that comes your way when Saturn hits your true note at 0 degrees Sagittarius. So part of what you're going through now is an initiation, bringing you closer and closer to that. You facing your fear of lack, dealing with the moon, emotion, security, but also understanding that you're going to have more than you had bargained for or counted on or even need. So just, my suggestion to you would be to trust and continue to go through your faith process and to reevaluate and reorder assets in your mind, in your home, and in your heart. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, it does.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So we'll hang in there and go pay a visit to Glorious Sight, and just get a lot of support. You can call in anytime here and give us an update and let us know how you're doing.
Will do. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Jose.
Hey, you too, Robert.
All right. That's our friend Jose in sunny California. Let's go to the 860 line. Here we go.
Work I have.
Yeah.
I
Hello
am
there. Hello.
crazy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, it's your moment.
Talking to me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I was talking to someone else. So this is the first time that I've called into this show.
Yeah.
Is it a reading that you give?
Yeah, I can look at your chart.
Oh, that'd be good.
What's your name?
Susan.
What is it?
Susan.
Susan. Where are you calling from, Susan?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. Susan from Connecticut. All right, Susan. Well, thank you for calling into the show. Welcome. When is your birthday?
10/29. Do you want the year?
I'm going to need the year. I'm going to need your place where you're born.
Okay. 10/29/58, Manchester, Connecticut.
And what time were you born?
6:05. I don't know if it's AM or PM. I can't remember right now.
Oh, that's a big thing.
It is. I think it's PM.
You think PM? Okay, let me try this again. Hold on. 6:05 PM. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have to pull up my birth certificate to double check.
Okay. Moving forward, Susan, if you ever want to go any deeper into astrology, you need to know that birth time.
Okay, I can get it.
How long would it take you?
Maybe a minute.
All right, why don't you go ahead and get it? For the sake of accuracy, I'll entertain people for a minute while you find that.
Okay, thanks.
Should I sing a song? I'm not sure I even know any songs. I mean, I do know songs, but I don't know a song off the top of my head that I should sing. Should I recite a poem? Or maybe Susan will come up with this. When I was a kid, I got into poetry when I think I was in the 7th grade, and I started reading poems. And I read this one poem, and it was just, I don't know, it was kind of a corny poem. Charge of the Light Brigade. You guys ever read that poem? I was very into it. Charge of the Light Brigade.
I got it.
You got it. Oh, great. All right. So when is it?
6:05 p.m.
Great. Okay. So now we know. I have your chart. What's your question?
Having a lot of difficulties around finances and feeling, I don't know, I guess that's it. I'm feeling kind of very stuck.
Okay. Would you say difficulties? Let's try to be a little more specific. Are you currently employed?
Yes, I'm employed.
Okay.
It's things are happening faster than I can keep up with them. Like my car is in the shop, and I mean, not the best of times for this to happen.
Okay, so your car's in the shop. It's getting fixed, and it's hitting your bank account. Okay. And what other expenses are you dealing with?
Home expenses, rent. I pay all my own bills.
Right. And is this a monthly thing, or are you just getting kind of hit by a wave?
It seems like, well, it's kind of a struggle each month. Lately, it seems like it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, welcome to the new America, Susan, because this is how it's going to be, especially when these higher prices are implemented on health care and or your taxes. You're not alone. Many other people are struggling to survive and get by, and it's getting harder and harder as a boot becomes placed on the neck of the middle class, the shrinking and lowering middle class. And your challenge, while it is not uncommon, is very personal, and I empathize with the fact that it's getting harder and harder to make ends meet. Okay? So one of the things that I am going to share with you as kind of a long-term solution to your money issues is there's a guy who's very skilled at dealing with money. His name is Dave Ramsey, Ramsay. And by the way, I recommend a lot of people check into Dave Ramsey, especially if you have credit problems. And he's not a quick fix guy. He's not going to go in and negotiate with credit card companies. And Dave Ramsey also happens to be a Christian, by the way. Don't let that turn you off. He's very, very smart. So as a long-term solution, Susan, I would recommend you look up Dave Ramsey, because his workshops and his seminars will help you understand what's going on and how you can actually get ahead of the game, okay? That's number one. Now, as far as your chart goes, you have a bunch of stuff in Scorpio. You've got Mercury is in Scorpio, Jupiter is in Scorpio, Sun is in Scorpio, Neptune's in Scorpio. You have Venus in Scorpio. You have your true node in Libra. That's the only thing. And all those planets are in the 6th house. So the Sun trines Pluto. What is it? Hold on. What's happening with Pluto here? So let me look. Sun sextiles Pluto. Venus sextiles Pluto. So the Sun-Pluto sextile is the ability to withstand and transform life's setbacks and challenges, to dig deep and arise like the phoenix anew from every challenge that you go through. By and large, you have everything that it takes to successfully get through your money issues. So you have a ton of strength in Scorpio. Scorpio is a fixed sign. And part of the magic around Scorpio has to do with polarity. Scorpio is a very magnetic sign. It's a sign that I think is magnetism. Scorpio can be very magnetic, or Scorpio can repel in terms of its energy. So when we have polarity, what we have is we have an on-off. And you could do this quite easily with magnets, right? You turn two magnets around, you have an anti or reverse polarity field. You flip it around, that magnet slams together. So it's like an on-off switch. And this is going to sound simplistic, but I want you to be able to kind of ground this if you can. Scorpio is a fixed sign, and when you have all those planets in Scorpio, you have the potential and the ability to make up your mind and change your situation. And while I am very sympathetic about your financial plight, because we all have it to some extent in our lives right now, you can flip that switch and say, this is no longer a problem. And it won't change the fact that the cost of things are going up, that you may have been hit with some things around your home. Be thankful you have a home, by the way. It may not change the cost of your getting a new computer circuit board or whatever in your car. But the fact of the matter is that you could reorient your attitude and your position and your strategy around your challenges. And with all that Scorpio, you are capable of making decisions that stick and are long-lasting. So I guess what I'm sharing with you is, with all that Scorpio in your chart, you can master the situation of your problems by saying, this will not defeat me. Or in the positive, I will be victorious. I will overcome these challenges no matter what challenges beset me. The key for all of this for you is support, because we get worn down over time. We can only do things, so much on our own. So you must get support. You have to get support. And when I look at your chart, I don't see a lot of support in your chart.
I don't have any support.
Yeah, I don't see that. So your key now is to, how do you get support? How do you find support? Where is it? Is it around the corner? Is it around the across town? Is it online? Right now, you are actually tapping into, in your own way, a moment of support. That's why you called here. You want some support. You want somebody to help you out. You want somebody to listen to you. You want somebody to say, how can I get through this? Well, I will tell you that one of the things that we do here is we meet here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and there's a chat room, and the chat room that is associated with this show are comprised of nothing but stellar individuals who have built relationships outside of this chat room and on Facebook. And I'm not doing this to promote my show or for any other reason other than the fact that that chat room is special. And if you are looking for a place where you can hang out, you can talk to people, and you can share, that is a place where you can actually go, believe it or not, and find some kind of support, even if it's for only, a half an hour, 45 minutes a day. So my advice to you, because you have Neptune now in your 11th house. Actually, it's not quite there yet. My bad. You have Chiron in your 11th house. 11th house is the house of groups. Certainly Uranus is in your 11th house. It's about to move into your 12th house in 2014, 2015, which will be interesting. So you need to find somehow ways where you are helped or supported, or people can talk with you. Other than that, I think you have the power internally to flip your position, to flip your switch, polarity of your situation, and that is within your realm of doing. I'm not bullshitting you. With all this Scorpio, you're a tough cookie. You're just tired. That's what you are. You're tired.
I'm worn out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
very
tired.
Worn out.
Yeah, and I understand that. And it's a hard world right now. It's not easy. It's just not easy. So I would say do your best to find some support. Make one last stand. You're not one last stand, but make a stand here and say, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I'm going to be victorious. That's the affirmative. And then begin to find ways in which you can find some support, but also do some things that are nice for yourself every now and then. Be kind to yourself every now and then. They could be little things, like going and getting, a pedicure or something like that, or going and, having your nails done, or going and getting a massage, or whatever that thing is. You're worth the $45. That $45 will get spent, trust me. But you're worth the $45 that it would take for you to have a moment where you are feeling in that moment just a little less worn out. And don't worry about it. That's money well spent. That's an investment in you and your long-term care and your care for other people if you have others in your life.
Yeah. So what were you referring to when you said that that it's changing? I forgot what you said now. That something is, Pluto is leaving. No, Uranus is leaving, and what's coming in?
Oh, that's a ways off. Uranus will be moving into your 12th house. I wouldn't really worry about that. Let's talk quickly about Saturn. Saturn is coming to Mercury in your chart. You have Mercury at 21 degrees. Early next year, you're going to have a Saturn-Mercury conjunction. Mercury is in opposition to Mars in Taurus in your 12th house. And the moon there is right on your ascendant in Gemini at 1 degree. So Saturn will also be slightly opposing the moon as well. That's actually a really important time for you. So early next year into Scorpio and sits on your Mercury, that's a time where you have to really buckle down, and you need to make a stand, and you need to be declarative. I am, I will. These are phrases you need to acquaint yourself with. I am and I will. I am and I will. I am blessed. I will find a support network. I am acknowledging the support I'm getting even in this moment. So you work with some of those tools, and your scorpionic energy will kick in. You'll get what you need. But in the meantime, treat yourself a little bit. I know money's tight. Scrounge $30, $35, whatever. Go get your feet massaged and get them. The feet are really important. They ground us to the planet. They're loaded with all kinds of nerve endings in the foot. If you get into reflexology, all the body organs are located in the feet. Go get a foot massage and get your feet worked on. You will renew your relationship to your feet, your contact with the earth. You'll feel better, and it's just good. It's good to do something nice for yourself like that. You deserve it, and you can afford it. You could find $35, and that $35 would be money well spent. And then and then you could just do a few things every week. Every week do something else like that. Next week do something else like that. Doesn't have to be the same thing. Maybe it's your fingernails.
Yeah, definitely fingernails.
Or the next week you say, hey, I'm going to go try a new type of vitamin or a new type of supplement that will bring more chlorophyll or more alkaline to my body, so I can change my mood a little bit. You practice that, and you find a way to connect with other people and find some support, and you'll weather this storm. Trust me, you'll weather the storm. Other than that, I have no magic bullet for you, but those are things I think you can work on.
Right. All good news, I guess. Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't be a stranger. Come back and talk to us sometime.
Okay, it's kind of difficult for me to call because I'm usually at work.
All right. Well, sneak off on a cigarette break or coffee break and tune in for 10 minutes or so. You can do this on your cell phone, too. You can call in on your cell phone.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good. Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's try another one. Let's go to 847. Hello there.
Hello, this is Jill.
Hello.
Okay,
How are you?
My birthday is 12/17/1960.
Well, okay, you sound very familiar.
Yeah, I've called before. It's been, I don't know.
(12/17/1960). You are the Reiki healer.
7:45 a.m.
You're the Reiki healer, right?
I don't know if I'm a Reiki healer. I mean, I could be.
Okay, aren't you trying to be an energy healer or something like that, or?
I'm a healer, but I'm not trying to be at the moment. So that could be me,
okay.
Maybe not.
Okay, so we've established that you've called in, and I remember you as having some kind of connection to healing. What time were you born?
7:45 a.m.
Okay. And where was that?
Waukegan, Illinois. Do you want me to spell it? W-A-U. Okay.
I can figure that out. So when people call back to the show a lot, I have two things that pop into my mind. Either I'm an ineffective astrologer, or people really like me and miss me and just want to talk to me. So I'm probably not ineffective. I don't think I am, but it just pops.
No, I like that you're very interesting.
Okay.
And the way that you say things are very interesting. Like I can call your show and listen and actually learn something.
Well, I guess that's a bonus. All right, so what are we talking about here today, Jill?
Do you see anything moving or getting better for me soon? It's like I'm just in this rut. Is that too general?
Well, is it too general? You've got Pluto at 9 degrees in Capricorn in your first house. And by the end of the year, or the beginning of next year, you're going to have a Pluto Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn. And your Pluto, by the way, is at 8 Virgo. So you have a Pluto-Pluto trine. Is in Virgo at 9 degrees. So you have a Pluto trine to your true node. Now you've got Uranus also squaring in Aries, your Pluto, and Uranus in Aries also squaring your true node. That kind of square is not about being stuck in inertia and a grind. That's about shaking things up. You know, the challenge with your chart is, you know, you have your Pluto and your true node in the 8th house. And the true node in the 8th house is, earlier in the show, Jose called, that's where his true node is. The true node is purpose, and if it's in the 8th house, we have to go in a deep place to find out what our purpose is and why we're here. But theoretically, you should actually be tapping into that. You do have healing ability. You know, with that Pluto in the 8th house, that's very regenerative. And because it's yoked to the true node in Virgo, the sign of the healer, you can tap into that plutonic power. And with Pluto coming onto your Jupiter by the end of the year, you know, if I'm an astrologer, I'm telling you, A, not to give up, and B, to tap into that freaking Pluto on Jupiter in your first house. You know, that could be very powerful and worthwhile and empowering and can bring you money. So what are you doing waiting around on the healing side of things? What would, if you wanted to be a healer, or quote unquote, which I think you can be, what is keeping you from doing it?
I think because my life has been so difficult, and I come from a very abusive family, and I've always been unsupported, I'm kind of tired.
That's a theme today, isn't it? People are tired. I'm completely understood. Absolutely understood. And so, you know, one of the things that, and sometimes I can see this in a chart, by the way, so I'm not saying that it's impossible, but one of the things that we often can't anticipate is something really good or wonderful or miraculous happening to us, and it can happen, and it does happen. I have a client, and I did a reading. This is about 2 months ago, and, you know, I basically said that some more support and some other things were coming into her life and related to her mom and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I tried to, you know, be as specific as I could, playing with the energy. And after I did the reading for her, you know, this woman got in touch. Her mother got in touch with her and gave her a portion of her inheritance already up front. I mean, it was a significant portion. And all of a sudden, the weight was lifted off her, and she didn't have to worry that much in the now, right? And
Yes.
and I will say this, that individual had been doing their own work, their own personal work, their work to get to the point where there was this nexus kind of in the event canon of her life, where the support literally matched her at a time where she had been studiously and dutifully doing her own work. Now, for each of us, that's a different piece, right? That's a different piece. Some people might have to work on the fact that they have faith, or some people have to work on the fact that they need to be more honest with themselves and with other people. Some people might have to work on the fact that they need to take care of business immediately, pay bills, be on time, whatever those things are. And they can be a combination of all those things. And when you're tired, it gets harder and harder to do. You just kind of want to give up. You want to get off the hamster wheel. You don't want to say, fuck this world. I'm done with this world. It's a bunch of lies and bullshit anyway. You know, and if that's the case, well, that may be an acceptable reality. That may be an acceptable response to the world. I'm not saying it isn't, but that's up for you to decide. And if you're done and you're over, then you got to figure out an exit strategy, whatever that is. You know, either selling your house or selling your car or moving to another country or whatever that is. If you're tired, you're tired, and say, I'm done. I'm checking out for a while. I don't necessarily think that would be the best strategy for you, by the way, but it's an option. Your Jupiter, my sense is that you will get relief. Something will happen for you that will expand the capacity of Jupiter and Capricorn. Something you've been waiting on for a long time to happen will occur. Okay? I don't know what that is, but it will occur. And that Pluto activation is at the end of the year and the beginning of January. And between now and then, right, you got to figure out, how you can do your own personal work, how you can manage or maintain or refine or clean out, whatever those things are. Act as if something tremendous and life transforming is coming to you, and you are preparing yourself for that. And how would
I'm going to write this down. Act as if.
Act as if.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. If let's say, for instance, let's say, for instance, I told you that the most incredible, wonderful person in the world was going to enter into your life, but you had to be prepared for that moment in time. And that preparation would be that you would be well groomed, that you on the inside and out, that you'd be eating well, you'd be taking care of yourself, that your diet would reflect energy, so this wonderful person would not miss you. It would be like putting a neon sign up above your crown chakra saying, "I'm ready." And that wonderful person gets it. It's all there, right?
Yeah.
So let's say that wonderful person is not a person but an event. And what would you do in order to meet that event in the same way that you would meet that wonderful person? You would prepare the same way. You would clean your house. You'd make sure your house is looking good, feeling good, right? That every area of your house was spotless and reverberating with some kind of energy that would sparkle, right? You would make sure that your diet was good. You would make sure that you'd be getting enough sleep. You'd make sure that you were on to the best of your ability. You would dig down and find the strength in order to make sure that all these areas of your life are copacetic. And you would do it in a way that it would be more about expectancy than expectation. You wouldn't expect this to happen to you, but you'd be waiting in this moment in time and being prepared for this moment. And then ultimately what would happen is you would get so lost, or you would get so entranced in some ways, in a good way, or so connected to the rhythm of your life, that ultimately the event itself would become almost meaningless, because now you're doing the inner work and you're taking care of yourself, your vehicle, and your relationship to God as a result of all of this. And then guess what? The event happens, and it's like it's no big deal because you're there already. And I know you're tired. A lot of us are tired. I don't sleep at night hardly at all. I've got issues and challenges in my own life I got to deal with. I'm not perfect. But somehow we've got to dig down. We've got to get deep. This is what Saturn and Scorpio is about. And we need to do the inner work. We need to prepare ourselves for whatever it is that life is bringing our way. Because if we don't prepare ourselves, then we're going to miss it. It's going to miss us. We're going to miss out on something key or critical. It could be a person. It could be a conversation. You don't know what it is. So with Pluto on your Jupiter, prepare as if. Prepare as if something miraculous is coming. Treat your life, treat your home, treat everything as like a welcoming committee or welcoming party for this moment. And if you do that, number one, the quality of your life will improve. And number two, the chances of you attracting that moment into your life get a whole lot better. A whole lot better. And I'm going to pass on the same thing we talked about with Susan, the tired part. I know it's difficult. Again, do some little things for yourself. Do some little things for yourself to take care of yourself so you don't feel like you're just stuck in this shithole rock, the third stone from the sun. That you count, you matter, your spirit matters, your life matters, your breath matters. People are listening to you right now. Maybe they're hearing your struggle and say, I can relate to her. I can relate to Jill. And I can hear this. So even your call right now matters. So don't have an insignificant relationship with who you are, what you're doing. And in fact, it's more important than you know. Absolutely. And if we want to take it up to another level, let's just say, for instance, we're engaged in the struggle on this planet light versus dark or whatever, the polarity trip, and our ability to impact events isn't necessarily measured by how many letters we send our congressman or our senator, or how many rallies we attend or protests we attend. I don't think it really boils down to that. I think what it really boils down to, you live your life. Are you living your life in a way that gives you an opportunity to experience a sense of fulfillment and love and nobility with your own life? And when you do and are, everybody benefits from that. I don't think we understand completely this whole notion of our own personal responsibility and accountability to the greater whole energetically. We add to the greater whole energetically, and you can add to the greater whole energetically too. And it's by preparing for something miraculous and powerful and special to occur when Pluto hits Jupiter in your chart, right? So I think that that's really a definition of what I think can help you and what I think potentially can happen to you and for you. You've got this Pluto trine with Pluto trine your true node, and I think that, that you have some serious mojo on the healing tip. Don't hold back.
What does Pluto represent? Pluto's what?
Pluto is death and sex and transformation. It's power. It's magnetism. It's the underworld. It's sacral eroticism. It's tantra. It's resources. It's other people's money. And it's shamanism. It can also have some really dark implications as well. But ultimately, the symbol that's associated with Pluto is the phoenix, to rise from the ashes, to be reborn in the fire. You've got that in the 8th house, in its own house. You signed up, Jill, for an intense chart with Pluto in the 8th house.
I did.
You did. So, congratulations. You're living your Pluto now, and you get to figure it out. But you're not alone. You call in a lot here. You're not alone. You're certainly not alone now, and you're not alone in the world. I got to go.
That was excellent and outstanding, and I'm going to save it and listen to it again.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, let's just, we only have about 8 minutes left. Let's chime in on the 765. I think that's real quick. Hi, Lenise. You there? She's not there. Okay, I think we're done. I think we're done today, right? Right? Okay. All right, well, listen, I want to thank everybody for calling in and listening to me talk, rant. And this is always a healing experience for me. I get to flex my North Node in the 10th house in Virgo. And that North Node is, of course, True Node conjunct my midheaven. So I get to do this every week and actualize my true. So it's good. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. I wouldn't be able to do it without you. All right, we'll be back on Friday with Laird Scranton and Richard Grossinger. Don't miss that show. It's going to be a tremendous show, and lots of wisdom, lots of insight, brilliance. Brilliance will abound on Friday. Don't miss it. In the meantime, just hang in there, people. Hang in there. There is going to be some moments of light ahead. Look, we averted a freaking nuclear disaster, okay? Think about that. Think about that. The false flag to end false flags was averted. So if that can happen, what can happen in your own life? And what lies? Things are not as dark or dire as they seem here in the 11th hour. Trust, have faith, have faith. Have faith in, I use the God word, creator, God, creation, universe. Have faith. There is a benevolent and loving presence in each of our lives that wants us to manifest, to experience, to fulfill, to become a conduit for novelty and complexity and wonder. Don't ever lose touch with that. All right. I'll see you on Friday. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to discern what's possible. Thanks again for tuning in. Adios.
We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.